world.
But that's great.
Yeah, very blessed that way for sure.
Very awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I have a burning question. Do you kids date your own age, or do you go up or down? What do you find?
Well, I don't date much. I admitted that earlier, but I have this weird I'd like to date. I date younger, I think, and I think my scale's kind of messed up. I think I try to date outside of my league, and it works every now and then, and it doesn't work pretty often. But but no, I think my excuse in my head, and one of the reasons I don't date very often is that my scale is kind of messed up.
So
How about you?
wait,
Yeah.
when do you look at them and are like, she's out of my league? I'll ask her out.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let me ask her.
I can have a drink in my hand at work, which helps, so a little liquid courage never hurt anybody. But again, that woman that comes to me always makes that first step a lot easier.
Yeah.
See, so Maria, it does work on some women, or on some men. So
What?
their approach.
Because now
he said it helped. He says it makes it a lot easier when women approach him. Do you think that is for most men that are older, or do you think it's?
Yeah, I mean, maybe is it chicken shit? Is it crappy of me to sit back and wait or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
But it sure is easier on this side. Now, I appreciate that you guys said, wow, I can appreciate how difficult it can be for a man. You have to keep throwing your line in the water, and it gets thrown back at you a lot. But I bet you most men would be I would be pretty flattered if Maria came up to me in a group setting and was even interested in having a conversation with me.
Right, I agree. Like, I'm not even, I'm sorry, I can't imagine anybody not being flattered by Maria coming over and hitting on him a little bit.
No, I mean, please. What's funny is when Christel said Stephanie's going to be on there, I was like, Stephanie's single. We don't have any. You know what I mean? I was like, there's no hope for the rest of us.
That leads me to the next question. I have my rose. When do I pass it out? Is that later, or do I do this now?
After the blue pill.
Okay.
I am I'm really Carlos, so I don't know.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so Carlos, so again, I'm coming to Carlos now. So do you feel, I know, wipe from your brow. Do you feel more comfortable perhaps approaching a younger woman? Do you feel like sometimes you're more attracted to a younger woman, or do you feel
good.
Yeah, right?
You're good. No, you know what? I think I'm attracted to beauty. I mean, I love women. I think, God, what amazing creatures. So I love beautiful women, but I'll bet you that it's easier for me to approach a younger woman. And I hadn't thought about that till you asked the question, to be honest with you, but I'm sure it's easier for me. I don't know.
Is that because of your confidence?
I think it's got to be some confidence. I don't know how much my hair is showing, but I'm salt and pepper, and there's that maturity, I guess, and some confidence in that maturity. And again, this confidence that I have today that I never had at 20 years old. And I don't know if Christel remembers, but I was like 4'1" in high school. I can show you my yearbook. All the pretty girls said, "Gosh, I can't wait till you grow up." Now I'm a hulking 5'7" and change. But there is some life confidence that I have today, and I'll bet you it shows itself more to a younger woman. I don't know, maybe because I feel like I've been further along or experienced more in life.
Right. And you know what? Now I'm going to throw it at the girls.
Yay.
Wait, real quick though, Carlos. So you're saying you're attracted to beauty. What, because beauty is kind of like subjective, and that's something for all of us, is that, we're older. So we're not, we've got some wear and tear. So what do you think a definition of beauty is now for a man your age?
Well, and it's funny, and you're going to think I'm just saying this, but like the four of you are so beautiful. And when you're talking about, a little older and a little more tired, and my goodness, if I met any of the four of you out, you're all beautiful women. So,
oh, Carlos, you're on the Christmas.
There's that.
That's all it takes, buddy.
He's had practice. Okay.
Why do men not get that then? All you have to do is just be a little. You just have to be a little nice to me.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? I don't know if I can name drop Christel, but I dated a girl we went to high school with, Melissa, and like the four of you, beautiful, like she's a 12 and she's been successful. She is divorced, no kids, and probably makes twice what I make. And we reconnected and we went on a couple of dates, and I don't even think I was Prince Charming, but I would hold the door or I would stand up when she came back from the restroom. And she said to me, it's so refreshing to date a gentleman. There just aren't any out there. And I thought to myself, gosh, that's the price of entry. Who would sit across from this woman and not be a gentleman? And so I don't know. Men are dumb. I don't get it. But again, if that gets me a little further along with a 12, all day long, but again, it's not anything I'm forcing. It's my father taught us, and I'm teaching my boys. But that's it surprises me how dumb men are, or how little men do to, endear themselves to women, or, and again, at 20, I would assume even some of you liked that probably, but now who would put up with that?
I've always been that way. And let me say this. I mean, I'm a feminist. I know the F word, but I am. I mean, I don't even want to say feminist. I just believe, yes, I am. I equal rights, the whole bit. Yes. I'll go there. But there is something about the chivalrous, if you, so to speak. And then the other side of that is, well, you can't have it both ways. Why? I do things for you, right? Like to me, that is a show of respect. It's a show I feel safe. When somebody opens the door for me or pulls a chair, just concerned about, my well-being. And it does show
romance, it's chivalry, it's,
yes.
Yes. All of those things. It doesn't mean doesn't take away from, being a feminist. It's, you still want to be romanced, and you want banners and,
Yes.
all of that, so like, yeah, I am. So what if I make, a lot of money, and, and I'm the one who pays the bills or whatever, but that doesn't mean I don't want you to, like, you stroke my hair or open the door, or, you know what I mean? Send me a flower, like, it's still, all of that is still valid. It doesn't mean anything, that it doesn't take away from it because we're feminists.
I agree 100%. Carlos, how do you feel about this whole #MeToo thing? Because I have a son who's about to be 23, and he's terrified. I mean, these young kids, like 22, 23 years old, his friends, they're afraid to like ask women out. I think they're more celibate than we ever were, because they're afraid they're going to get like strung up on Twitter or something like that.
Yeah.
They're afraid
Yeah,
to tell a girl she's pretty.
Yeah, that would be scary. I mean, I have two daughters, and my daughter is a feminist, my 22-year-old, and she's outspoken. I follow her on social media. She still allows me to, and she shares opinions that I don't agree with, but I'm proud of her. I love that she has a voice and she is not afraid to use it. But I could appreciate, as the father of two young boys, it could be scary. What if Rocco, who has so much to offer this world, and he's such an amazing young man, and what if he ends up at a frat party and does something,
Yes.
that he thinks is
Yes.
consensual, and
Yes.
it could be life altering.
Yes.
So
I
I
have
say, more power to women, but that could be scary.
Mhm.
I have a little bit different of a perspective, because and I have it on my dating profile. Like, I'm sarcastic as hell, like, and I'm very crude. Like, men have to be able to put up with that, and a lot of them can't put up with my personality, because I'm usually the one that's dropping F-bombs, and like they're very taken aback by me, and I'm like, well, I'm not changing at this point in time in my life, so take it or leave it. So I actually kind of have a hard time a lot of times, like, having men want to do things for me. Like, my first reaction is to be like, nope, I'm independent, I can do my own thing. And then I realize, like, they're just trying to be nice, and I sometimes take offense to it. I'm like, what's he want from me then?
Right.
Is he being nice to me because he wants something?
Right.
Hmm.
Because you've been independent, you've been taking care of yourself. You came out of that relationship and you're going, you don't need all of that. So yeah, Agreed. And do you think that maybe it's a generation thing, that you saying you're like, with your personality, that they, the guys this age, they're not like, they come from a generation where it's like the women should behave a certain way, so now they're older and you're kind of having fun and, independent and, throwing F-bombs, and they're like, wait, that's not how she's supposed to be. That's not how my wife or my girl is supposed to be. You think that's generational?
Yeah, I think a little bit's generational, and I think a lot of women also are super fake, and I refuse to be. And I think that the men are kind of used to that like fakeness and the facade, especially living in LA. And I'm not that person.
I get that.
I get that too.
Yeah, I really do get that. I think that's really true. I think there is, but again, that comes with being older, but then yet not, the more I'm thinking about it, there's something to, this is who I am and take it or leave it. But you're right. There's a lot of women, especially out there, that aren't being honest.
And I get really, I have a lot of single girlfriends, and I get really pissed at them because they expect the man to pay and all this. So they want certain things, but they're not willing to, to maybe like give a little bit also. And they like literally, these women talk about men like, oh, I'll just have them take, pay for this, pay for that. I'm like, you're ridiculous. I wouldn't want to be a man sometimes too in this day and age, it would be expensive to freaking date.
Oh my God, right?
Right.
Yeah. First of all, I'd have so many kids, I wouldn't have any money because I'd have so many kids. And, but you know what I mean? That's a different topic, but no, I get it. Yeah.
We need to get into that topic, but go ahead, finish your thought there.
No, I was just gonna say, no, I have girlfriends that are younger, and they're like, oh, and just like, I have a 30-year-old friend, and I'm just like, what is your problem? Like, you can't date, you know what I mean? And the things that they have hangups on, I'm like, we can't be friends. I'm so far removed from the issues that you have, with men. Like, it's unrealistic, I feel. I think we're from a different generation. We've kind of, been there, done that in dating guys and ourselves. And I think the problems that the younger generations are going through are different. They didn't have the struggles. They didn't have all of that. So we're now, there's, definitely, I'm not trying to compete with all these girls that are, influencers and these filters and all this stuff. Like,
oh my God, right?
I just, like you said, fake. And it's like, they put it on their profile. I'm like, I don't even recognize who you are. Like, this is what you actually look like. You know what I mean? And, I'm going to say, I went on to one of the dating sites and I did a switcherooski and was like, let me see what these guys are doing. So I said that I was the guy to see what guys, what women are going to show up on the profile. And I'm not kidding. It was like 4 out of the 5 that came up on my profile for me to like, we're all wearing bathing suits. We're all filtered up. We're all these like, and I'm like, this is what I'm competing against. Like, this is who is showing up. And, I don't want to say competing, but, I'm like, Carlos, maybe I need to do your, profile. All these hot women are gonna, young women are gonna show up in bikinis. It's unrealistic. That's, when you talk about what it's like at this age today, in this time, and how we grew up, we just have been through so much. It's different for us. We're a different breed, trying to blend in and be in this world, and especially being a woman now, I'm more sexually driven now than I was then. It's, like, you add that layer on top. Yeah.
That was my next question. Seriously.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, like really. So it is more sexually driven for you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think that's always been, you know what? It's funny because it's always been an issue. I think I've always been just more like, I love romance and I love all of that. Thank you, but I'm also like, keep up. And now, and I don't know, it just, and then it's just, I've always been that. And now it's like, always sexually charged. I don't know if that's just me. I've never needed a pill. If anything, I need a pill to like calm down, and so
That's like, I agree.
I don't know. Is it something that like, is it hormonal? Is it, I don't know. I think I was built different to begin with.
Mhm.
Like Stephanie, you say like, oh, F-bombs or whatever, same way, but I'm very playful. And now at this age, I'm just like, I want to have fun. Like maybe I don't find the one, maybe I have many loves, and, and romances and adventures. And that's how I see it, so keep up.
Carlos,
We're-
what do you think about that? Do you think, and for a second too, not just for you, but also put yourself in the dumb boys position. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I know that you wouldn't be intimidated by that. I mean, obviously.
Right. And thank you for saying that, Heather, but I'm trying to do that because I don't know, I think I'm a little bit different anyway. So
Yeah.
hearing you guys speak, I'm definitely trying to put it in the male's perspective. But first of all, I don't disagree. And I'll bet you, I think it's more that way, again, because we all are all very busy. I think regardless of whether we've been married or not, or kids or not, I think life is just busier these days. And so I would bet that that's more the norm than it used to be, and maybe, Steph and Maria can just say it now instead of, not saying, being too demure and not saying things like that. Maybe that's changed a little bit, but I'll bet you that kind of the market is a little more sexually driven than it used to be.
Mhm. So do you think they could literally just come out and say, like,
Oof.
hey, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but why not? Not looking for anything major, but I do like sex. Can you do that?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I could see
You
Steph doing
finish the
that.
sentence and Steph's all like, yes.
And now I got to rewind like 10 minutes, but how hot is Steph with her like confidence and like,
Right.
you may not like me, but I'm just me. And I'm sitting here thinking, God, she's so hot. That's so cool. I love that, and you don't have
I told men right when I first got divorced, I said, I don't want anything. I literally just want to have sex. And guys were like, are you serious? Are you trying to trick me? I'm like, no.
When my husband watches this, here's what's gonna happen. He's gonna look right at me and go, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Because
and like with this, like I said, when it was really weird. My ex-husband got remarried so quickly, and people thought like, yes, of course, emotionally, my feelings were hurt, but people thought like I was like jealous. I said, are you freaking kidding me? I want to go out and have sex with so many men, like, in the first couple of years after divorce. Like,
I think that's a running joke. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think so too. I mean, of course, there'd be a mourning period, but then there would be like girl that hasn't had carbs in a while, just running wild and eating all the bread.
that is
That's
true.
what
Like I've often thought about, what would happen. Most of the time, I probably wouldn't want to set, in fact, I know I don't want to get married again. This is it. But I'm like, I could do a cowboy. I don't think I've done that before. Like I would be interested in doing, checking some shit out. A little different.
Like,
poor Larry, the guy I'm dating now is upstairs and he's listening to this and he's probably like, holy shit, I need to go get like a lot of STD testing right now.
And I 70, like that's amazing because that was me in 20s. Like, yeah. I mean, I still want to have a lot of sex, but I'm a lot more picky now. Like, with who I'm gonna, I want to, but do you qualify? You know what I mean? And check all the boxes,
are
not
you
even
wax
all the boxes,
worthy?
or just kind of go like, I don't want to say size you up, but it's just kind of like, I feel now that I'm like, hey, you know what? My body's a temple and I have like preserved it. And I want to, if I'm going to have, I want to say I want to have sex with somebody that's been equal to like, that preservation, if you will. You know what I mean? Somebody that like takes care of themselves as well. So I'm a little bit more picky now than I was when I was 20. But the difference with me and you, I think, is I've been single my whole life. You know what I mean? So now it's funny because I'm like, okay, I'm slowing down now, you know?
Oh, like I said,
you
that
know,
was kind of, I just felt like that was like a post-divorce type. That was my
Mhm.
feeling. Now,
Yeah.
almost, like 3.5, 4 years out, like this last, I'd say even year, I would much rather just have a really cool guy to hang out and do shit with, And like I said, Larry's
Yeah.
going to hear upstairs, and we've talked about erectile dysfunction and whatnot. Like I said, I've actually also dated a lot of men that have issues in that arena, and if they're an awesome, cool person and I enjoy spending time with them, we'll work through it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not a deal breaker.
It's different. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a whole different like vibe.
Yeah, I have vibrators. It's not a deal breaker.
Yeah, exactly.
There's toys involved.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
At
has
the end
that
of the
been?
day, it's a little less work and the cleanup is easy.
Yeah.
So I have a
That
question then. So when you guys started dating again in this stage, was it intimidating? Getting started with the sex situation?
I would just get really drunk. Like that was like my deal.
Yeah.
Like,
How did you?
I showed up, like I would Uber to men's houses and just be hammered and be like, I had to do that to like,
God, this is hilarious. I got to tell you, this is straight up Sex in the City shit. Okay, I love it.
I showed up to a guy's house and he was hot, he had a lot of money, whatever. Showed up to his house so drunk, I ran into the wall and gave myself a black eye.
Oh my God.
And he said he slept with me and we dated a few different times. Like, why would you date me again? Like, I showed up to your house and ran into the wall. Like, what is wrong with him?
Well, I think he's sexually driven.
What about you,
Well-
Carlos?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember back. For me, it's been 10 years and probably took 1 or 2 before I started dating. But yeah, the first girl I had sex with post divorce was at a little dive bar near the house, and a couple drinks in and mutual attraction. So and we ended up dating for a little while, which was cool. But I think you have to kind of get past barriers. I think you get past certain marks as you go along, and again, now to me at this point it's a lot easier.
Right. Maria.
Well, it's first out the gate from my last long relationship. Let me see. That's been a while, but I think for me, it's always been kind of like, I'm always I go out and if I drink, and this is the key for guys, right? If I drink, I already kind of like, it's like the power button, you like get a little charged up and a little bit of liquid courage. I think for me afterwards, that's kind of what it took, just a little bit to get, because I feel like I'm so sensitive to touch, and to sense that it's like constantly on. So I think, when I go out with anybody and, am I gonna, I obviously hit on guys or talk to guys that I feel like, okay, this is somebody that I can definitely see myself naked with, but it's not it is intimidating with anybody, even still now, I'm confident, but it's still, like, am I going to be okay? Are they going to be okay? It's, I'm still in that regard, not, I'm confident, but still a little, scary, I for me anyway, it's because it's intimacy,
Right. There is
um,
a little bit of vulnerability there.
yeah.
And I would think, like, you see all this stuff, like me as a photographer, some of the gals come in and they're like, well, I want to do this. And I'm like, this is a thing? I mean,
What?
so like, I obviously think that sex has changed definitely since I was single, but it just seems like there's a lot more out there. Like, you almost have to like do yoga to keep and
Yeah.
cardio. So I would be like so intimidated about going into the scene now, just because.
Yeah, like, is that a deal? Sorry, Crystal, to like, but yeah, like, is this like,
Yeah.
are we all doing like the tantric shit now? And
No, it doesn't even, no.
crazy. I mean, I've heard stories, and I shouldn't even bring it up, but I will. Like the butt has a whole new world going on these days. I am, and if I did I have to do it? I don't, you know what I mean? Like, is that a thing?
And what do you think,
I
Steph?
know. I feel like I need like the checklist of items. Like, okay, what are you into? And when we're
Is there a
talking
list
about,
that I should know about?
you know, yeah, I mean, I definitely dated guys, and that's been some of the deal breakers. Like, you make it past there, and then all of a sudden they're like, you know, you want me to do what? You
Oh
know,
my
like,
God, right?
you
Like,
know?
that would be it for me. I'm sorry. I'm a freak. That would be, I want you to touch, like, whatever. I know what's going on with this finger.
no, don't get me wrong. I am willing to, like, hey, we all have our own thing. You know what I mean? And it's okay. And I'm, you know, okay, let's try it out. But sometimes, like, I'm not being punked. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know, like, this is, you know, some shit that, you know, and hey, more power to you. That's what you like, and you're confident, that's what you want. Go out and get it. I'm not the one to give it to you, you know?
Yeah.
So that I'm tired, you know, like, you know,
So, but have you had encounters like that? Obviously, where they're like, really, no shit.
well, I mean, hey, listen, if we really want to get into it, you know, I dated
do.
a guy who was super nice, was
Carl's
like,
like, yes.
and would, you know, like, sing to me and cook me dinner, and hey, like, oh, cool. And then when it came to being intimate, it was like he was the complete opposite, you know, and like, hey, I'll take a little choke game here and there, but like at the point where I was feeling like, you know, he's like, I'm gonna treat you like, you know, a little whore and a slut, and I was like, whoa, you know, okay.
Back up, King.
You know, like, okay, it's maybe, you know, dial it back a little bit. And then it was like, you know, oh, how about we do some, you know, and then I'm in the middle of a meeting, and then he's like texting me all this shit. And I'm just like, I'm in a financial meeting right now. Let me text you back. Oh, even better. I'm just like, look, I'm already having trouble, like, kind of grasping, you know, wrapping my head around
last
what I
night.
yeah, and then
I'm
you
still
know,
processing.
yeah, like, you know, and I'm still like traumatized, you know.
There might be some PTSD.
Yeah.
PTSD going on.
I would do it, like, you know, hey, I'm gonna quote Meatloaf, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that again, you know. I try, you know, so yeah, like, I think at this age I'm a lot more like sexually, you know, sexual freedom, if you will. But at the same time, I according to some people, I'm still kind of a prude, you know. So
Well, that's
like,
what I talk a big game too, but I'm really like, I'm kind of a prude. I mean, I was that person. Like I said, my ex-husband would be appalled. I used to make a pillow fort so he wouldn't touch me, you know, because I didn't ever want to have sex. He would have had, my ex-husband would have had sex with me 5 times a day, and I was always like, no, I don't want to. And then once I got divorced, I was like, oh, now I kind of have this power. You know?
just didn't want to with him.
Exactly, you know. So it's weird, but I think, I mean, it's still like weird every single time, like getting naked with somebody that you don't know. Like you're like, oh, it's like so anxiety provoking.
That's why
You know?
we always have, like, you know, kind of like somebody on the back burner. You know what I mean? Like, I'm comfortable with that guy, so, you know, all right, come over. You know, is that a bad thing? I don't know. You know,
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think more women, honestly, I wish more women in my circle, I hope that they watch this, because I would like them to be more like you. I'd like them to be inspired by you and less caught up with all of this bullshit about trying to be somebody that they're not, and the insecurities and all the bullshit. You know, I hope that they really take something away from you two, you know.
I always tell my friends, do not take any relationship advice from me. You know, you can hear me out, but I'm also, you know, like I've been single. I'm not in a relationship, so I can't say. I'm always on the outside looking in. But I mean, like Carlos, like you hear all of that, and you know, when you hear something like, hey, you know, I've got a bench warmer, you know, that I, you know, call into play every now and then. I would think that as a guy, I find that like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to go there with her, you know, knowing that. I obviously don't come out and say this to guys, but
Yeah,
you know,
I don't think so. I mean, I'm jealous in a certain regard. I wish I had someone on the bench. Um, but again, I think I'm a little different that way. But no, God bless you. And I think too, and I've got to say, and it's come up a few times, and I think Heather and Christel asked it originally, and now Steph and Maria are enforcing it. You two seemed like horrified by the thought of getting naked in front of a new man because you've been married for so long and you're still married. And the two of them have admitted that, yes, it's difficult. And now again, men are dumb. And I don't know if you've ever seen the meme, but you know what, you imagine what a man sees when he looks in the mirror, and we look ripped, and my chin is perfectly chiseled, and women see themselves not that way. And I think that's definitely a gender thing. I think, men have this like fake confidence in how they look because I don't tear apart every little thing about myself when I look in the mirror. I'm like, hey, you look pretty good for 53.
Right.
And so and maybe I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to have sex. So there's that too. But I have not like, I'll take my clothes off for the podcast if you guys need it. I don't have any issue with that at all.
yeah,
Right.
Take it off.
Yeah.
You know what? Forgive me if I'm bragging too, and I have plenty of insecurities. Maybe this is a false front, but another mutual friend, and Christel took some beautiful pictures of me, and Christel comment, you're like, oh my gosh, you're natural in front of the camera. And because I've done things like this, and I'm confident in my life and whatever, but I shared them with Christy, a friend of ours from high school, and she said, well, you've been naked in front of beautiful women your whole life, so you just don't have any fear of that. And maybe it's that. But I just think men generally don't have that same qualm about dropping their clothes.
There is no doubt in my mind that men don't have the same things. I mean, women, just like you said, it's like, I hear it all the time in what I do, right? Like, I need a personal trainer because I have this little pouch, or I have a this, or I have a that, like, and it's so insignificant, right? It's so ridiculous. And that's what women hone in on. Women, like you said, you look at yourself and you're like, oh, I'm chiseled here, or I'm this and that. Women don't do that. Women look at themselves and go straight to the negative about what they need to
Heather, in the boardroom and the bedroom, women look at all their insecurities.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. And it's from a man's, and I think we need to hear this from a man's perspective. How do you feel about a woman showing up with a little pudge in her
Well,
belly?
and this, I mean, and I'm sure this is true, but I'm not looking at it. You know what I mean? Again, I'm so excited that we're getting naked. I'm planning what I'm doing next. But I'm looking at other things. I would bet you to a man, no, there's men out there for sure that are like so ego driven or so full of themselves that might see it, but I don't think many men see the pudge or the extra hair that's sprouting or whatever else is going on. I'm not looking at it.
Benchmarks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything that's turned me off so much that I would stop. You know what I mean? I see the beauty. I like beautiful women. I see the beauty in women, and I'm pretty excited, when we're heading that direction. So.
See, that's really good. I hope most women hear
Yeah, I'm
that.
like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because, and if you happen to be with somebody who isn't like that, then get the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why are you still entertaining this person
Right.
who makes you feel like shit? Come on. At our age, after everything we've been through, male or female, why would you be, especially on the second time around, with somebody that makes you feel less than who you are? Okay, that was like a lead bomb. Everybody's just like, okay.
Still easier said than done.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Mhm.
I think in the beginning, as we kind of like had more time, regained more time to ourselves, I feel like there was that little stage where you're like, how did I let myself go? Or
Yeah.
why did I not take care of myself more? And then there's just that whole looking at yourself with fresh eyes again. And so there is a little criticism that you will obviously go through. But I think now that you've gotten past that, it does seem like, I think we're a lot more kinder, a lot more gentler, and we're a little bit more owning wherever we're at. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, I think. I'm kind of proof of that, as far as in I sat there and critiqued every single thing about me. Like, I should have said this, I should have said that. You know, when you take a shower and you're like, oh, this would have been a great response 4 days after the interaction or something of that sort. So I do feel like we are getting to that place of being more accepting towards ourselves. But I do think that there is a little bit more work that needs to be done. I'm still self-conscious about the baby weight I haven't dropped in 25 years, but
Christel, we're all a constant work of progress. Like,
obviously,
even
yes.
if we're more confident now, there's still other things that we're working on. Like, we're all kind of, I think that's just a lifetime thing,
I think so.
and yeah, and I think that makes us all kind of, like, it's okay, to, because it also means that we're, we don't think we're perfect. We constantly are striving to be a better selves. That's all, for ourselves,
I
for our
think
kids.
I think you're right. As far as in, we're not striving to be perfect anymore. We're just striving to be better versions. And I think that's where the goal or the benchmark is now. It's no longer perfectionism. We're no longer trying to be Marsha Brady or any of those sitcom shows that we grew up watching.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's, I remember hearing, like, at 40, you have to cut your hair. And at 40, you can't do this. And at 40, it's like, who came up with these rules and these limitations?
Right.
Like, when I realized, like, none of that was true. And it's funny because that's how, I was I felt freedom in it. You know what I mean? My mom was like, you gotta, at this point, be married. And at this point you have kids, and and it's like, who said that? I had my first daughter at 20. And so okay, which is why now I'm a grandma. But at the same time, like, gosh, I was like, I'm done. I'm like, while everybody is still trying to raise their kids, I'm now, like, hanging out and living my best life, and so I'm kind of on the opposite end. For a lot, like, a lot of people a lot of men especially are just now getting started, and I'm like, let's go live, let's go to Paris, so it's different for me on my end when I don't have, I have the grandkids or whatever. So it's how do you introduce that into a conversation? I haven't talk about, you don't introduce your kids to, who you're dating. I don't introduce my grandkids, you know what I mean? Like, at what point does that factor in, So it's just now I'm working to be a better version of myself for me, for my kids, grandkids, for my legacy, for just to have more fun, just to live, so that's my story.